Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today we're looking at the price of theta and trying to figure out what is happening here. If I zoom in a little bit, you could see recent price movement. What do you think that is? Well, to me, right off the bat, it looks like a bull flag, right? And then it looks like that bull flag broke to the upside. So the question is that sufficient enough? Does that mean the correction is over? Well, it's hard to say, and some parts of you want to say yes, other parts say not so fast, right? So we'll discuss the yeah, it's ready, and then we'll also discuss the not so fast, right? So, um, just looking at it, it looks pretty bullish. You could see right here we have one, two, three, four, five, right? We have an A, maybe we get a B, and then a come down for a C, and then we go, right? Definitely possible. Definitely possible. Um, and also the C wave right here could come down and back test the top of the bull flag before extending higher. Definitely possible and be a beautiful continuation. I mean, going back to previous videos, I've stated that this wave right here is not the end. It's just the beginning. And this wave right here is just a correction, right? So rather, if the correction comes down, and what I've stated a lot in previous videos was to develop a right shoulder, right? We want to see the development of a right shoulder, and you have a nice rounded bottom, cup up to resistance, right? And then go. And that's still very possible. But the difference is now is how could we possibly get there? It could be a little different on how we get there. So, for example, I still stand by my tweet that the three different paths, right? The red path, I think there was the purple path, and the green path. So green path, purple path, red path. So here's the chart right here, and I still stand by all of that. And right now, the screenshot of this was at 90 cents. So we're still in the same sort of vicinity as we were back then. Um, so basically, just to review a little bit, one of the things I stated here was the red path being the bearish look, but at the end of the day, all three of them are bullish. All three of them are incredibly bullish. The difference is time. It's all about time, right? Theta, we know, is a bullish asset. It's going places. The question is time, the infamous question, when moon, when moon. And it's all about time, right? So the first thing would be the red path, which would take the longest time, which I have here highlighted. That would be wave one into wave two. We come down for wave three. And this was wave four, right? We're in wave four right now. And then we're going to come on down for wave five. And it's going to be like a diagonal pattern. If you don't know what a diagonal, go to Google and type in Elliott wave diagonal pattern. And you'll see what I'm saying. So something like this, right? Where the price comes down, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we go. That would be the bearish option, right? The second option would be this purple here. Let me change the color right here. And basically this pathway says we are sort of creating this inverse head and shoulders pattern, right? Um, Basically, we had this pump to the upside, right? And now we're just going to retrace some of that pump because that's what bullish waves do. That's what bullish continuations do. They have a pump up here, right? They pump up, they pull back, and then they go. And this pullback, think of it like a spring, right? If the spring, if we shoot up and the spring's only this big, yeah, we're going to get a pump, but coming down a little further, you get a bigger pump. So we could potentially come down a little further, or it could be finished right now. And then in which case, I'd still be looking at the green path. Remember, this is the 6-day chart, so you got to take into account that it's basically a weekly chart. So not a lot of price movement in here on the weekly chart. We're still in the same 90-cent area, so it's still valid that the green path, right? We jump up here and then we go, right? So looking at this support box right in here and getting above that, which is basically staying above $1. So going back to the live chart, we are right now sitting in that box. We're at 97 cents, basically almost $1. So what could potentially happen here is same thing with those three ideas, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. That would be the bearish idea, and then we go. Or this is going to be a shoulder. This is our head, and we're going to come up in the green path. The green path suggests we come up here, we tag up here, right? But then here's like a twist to that path. Let's say we get up here, which I really believe we will, which is $1.30, around that $1.25, $1.30, and then we pull back for the right shoulder. That is the new update today. That is what could definitely happen. And that's sort of the green path, but with a purple path twist. So that's definitely in the cards, and I think it's really possible, because what that would do is that would get us back up to here, horizontal resistance, right here. We would get there. It would be strong resistance, because look at this. We have resistance here, here, right? You extend it further down. So when we run up to here, maybe we slice it like butter. Maybe not. But the point is this right here. You could see how it's in the making. This is your left shoulder, your head, right? We're basically developing the head as we speak, or we're already continuing the right shoulder. So there's different ways it can happen. And it's technical analysis isn't going to tell you which way it is. It's going to give you ideas of which way it could be. And that's the fun part, is trying to figure out what it could be. So basically, the two bullish options, right, would be, we have our bullish impulse. And one of the things I talked about was coming down to back test this area right in here, which we basically kind of did. If you look, we missed it by a little bit. Let's see if I take this off. Let's get it right on the dot here. Put one on the wick and one on the body. So we did, in fact, right here, this wick came down and back tested this wick here. And look what happened. Look at the reaction after we back tested this area. So price runs. So look at this candle right here. Here's the wick. We run right into it, and then boom, we get rejected. We come down. Then the candle closes. Then this candle opens. We sell off a little bit, 50% of this candle right here. So take this body right here, about 50%, maybe 40%, and we retrace it. Buyer step up big time, gets bought all the way back up, and then it breaks this resistance. Then this candle comes down, and same thing here. See how the wick retraces 50% of the body? Once it does that, it starts to, buyers step up at 50% of this move here, of this candle. And then we have a markup phase, and we break and we close above the previous candle. So that's the thing that we're looking at, right? This candle closes above this candle. This candle closes above this candle, and this candle. See, they're all closing above each other. And you could see the velocity. But you could start to see here, notice these candles here. See, we're going straight up, and now we're starting to curve a little bit. So we're flat. Here's our base. We break out. We're going basically straight up. We break this resistance. Then we curve over, like we're starting to round down like this. And then in those times, right, you could see these wicks in here. Those wicks are basically being bought up. So price comes down into this backtest support area because we broke out, right? We broke out a resistance, and now these wicks, 1, 2, 3, all getting bought up, higher lows too. Each wick is higher than the next. I think that one, let me see. Okay, so this one's actually a little higher. But the point is, they are pretty long wicks, and they're getting bought up as we are backtesting this area. Contrary to that is this wick right here. Remember when theta went up to, what was it, $1.18? And then it closed at below $1. So it was a super strong wick to the downside, which means sellers said, no, 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 not yet. Right? So now we're just sort of hanging out on top of this area here, which is bullish. So basically, we are back testing as we speak. So basically, the update is, number one, this was our bullish wave. And remember how I stated that these wicks right here, see how the candle, a full body candle, it closes here. Then this one opens up. But then notice the wick, the tail end of the wick comes all the way down 50% of this candle. Same thing here, right? So if we apply that logic, right, and we say this is one move, this one giant move, and what do? We just cut it in half. Cut it in half, right? It's still possible that the price comes down 50% of the wave, not 50%, right? That's different. I'm saying 50% of this wave right here. So price comes down, and then it starts to round to the upside. That, my friends, is the purple path, and that is the path that I was leaning towards. But if we can stay above this right here above, say, let's see, between 82 and 85 cents. If we could stay above 82 and 85 cents, then no, absolutely not. If we break this, then yes, I'm going to be looking at mid 70s, probably low to mid 70s. That would be the formation of the right shoulder. And people say that's, 75 cents, that's crazy. But that's actually bullish. That's really bullish. If the price runs from, what is this, down in the mid 50s all the way up to $1.16, something like that, $1.18, and then it pulls all the way back down to the mid 70s, then we can really accelerate. We can really, really accelerate out of here. And then zooming out, what does that look like? Well, that's what we've talked about, the formation of this inverse head and shoulders. And basically this move was just forming the right shoulder. And then, then we go. So if this occurs, I'm definitely going to be a buyer in this area. So between, not financial advice, this is just all for entertainment purposes only, not financial advice. I could be totally wrong. I could be dead wrong. And this thing can, do something totally different. But in my opinion, I still stand by that tweet, which is the 3 different pathways. And I'm thinking one of those is going to happen. And so far, I'm liking the purple pathway, but what I don't like is that it's still hanging above here, which tells me we're probably going to, have a mixture of the green and the purple in some fashion, right? Unless this thing really starts to flip over, then we got to look at the red, right? So all 3 are on the table still. But if we come down in here, right in here, that's the buy. That's the buy zone right there. I mean, if you're an investor and you're a hodler and you're holding for how God knows how long, then it really doesn't matter where you buy. What's a few cents among friends, right? But if you're trying to get a good entry, I would look for this area between 74 and say 85. So we're sitting at almost $1 though. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about, okay, we're at almost $1. So what else could be going on here? Well, if I put this back on here, and let me just go down a little closer. Let's try the 4-day chart. You can see we got some consolidation. Basically, we're going to talk about the green pathway right there. So this was the tweet I sent out a few weeks ago. I don't know how, I think this was November 9th. So yeah, about 2 weeks ago. So yeah, basically what that means is we have a run up, we have sideways consolidation, exactly what we're doing. We pop up here and we hold above, and then we go. We want to hold above. This is the big thing. This is the big boy right here, is getting above this, closing above it, which is $1.30, $1.31. So if we can get and close above this, that zone right there, then it's on. It's on. So, and basically, the tweet was suggesting, how can we get above that? Because all 3 options suggest we will eventually get above there. But the question is when, right? How? And that's what people like to know because, when you're accumulating, which I believe most people watching this video, if you're watching this video, that means you like theta, and that means you probably own theta, and that means you probably are going to continue to buy theta. And watching videos, at least for me, going back, I would say going back to 2017, 2018, I would watch tons of YouTube videos and Discord. Well, not Discord. I don't think Discord was around back then, was it? I don't remember. I just got into Discord probably in 2021. So I'm not sure how new it is. I know it's fairly new, but Twitter and YouTube, I would see a lot of technical analysis. And basically, I wasn't watching the technical analysis because I was trading. I was watching because all I wanted to do was buy. And it was back then, it was Bitcoin. Like, I didn't care about anything else except Bitcoin. I wanted to buy Bitcoin. I felt like. So I'll give you a little story. So back in 2017, that's when I started buying Bitcoin, right? 2018, everybody got burned unless you sold, right? I didn't sell because I'm a long-term investor, and I kind of knew that was what was going to happen. But I got burned in a big way, and enough to scar me for life so that I would never make that same mistake again, right? Which was just ignore a massive bubble. I mean, if you were living in 2017 during that bubble of Bitcoin, I'm sure you've heard it on the news, or maybe you got into Bitcoin later, or crypto in general later. But basically, for me, it was on Coinbase, and there was it was Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. That was it. That was all that was on Coinbase back then, and I was buying like mostly Bitcoin. And then I got into the alts, and I thought, okay, the alts made me more money in percentage terms. So when the bear market occurred, and this is I'm telling you this because it's good advice, but also it's humbling at the same time. And when the bear market occurred in 2018, we were in that massive descending triangle. And I'll never forget it. I was watching Tone Vase. He was the guy that I would watch a lot, and he would teach me a lot about sequential. And I'll just pull up sequential right here. So this is sequential right here. And basically, see all these numbers, they're labeled here. I don't really talk about it a lot on the channel because it could be confusing, but my channel is to show you the basics, the basic outline of what is happening from a structure point of view. Now this is for like trading. So for example, I just pulled up the 4-day chart. So this right here, I'm going to get back to the story in a second, but just real quick, this right here, it's all about nines, right? So it's about a 9. So basically, long story short, you buy the 9 and you sell the red 9. So this is a 9 buy. You can see it's green. And then the count flips green, flips back to red, flips, it's red. So basically, it's an exhaustion indicator. It's letting me know when the trend is becoming exhausted. Now, just because it lands on a 9 doesn't mean it's going to dump to the downside, right? Basically, what that means is, hey, watch out. We could be heading down for a little bit. We could be chilling, and it beautifully called it, right? So so basically, how you would trade it is, if you were wondering, so you see these red dots. So here's the 9 right here, 9 buy, and then it printed these red dots. So you see the red dots. That's your setup trend. So what happens is you have a green 1, and now you have a green 2, right? And the green 2, and then you have a green 3. So you want a green 2 going above a green 1, going above the red dots. That's what you want. A green 2 going above a green 1, going above the red dots. It could be a green 4 or a green 3, right? But basically, you want it breaking above this 9. So this is the 9. When you break above the 9, it gets activated, right? The 9 becomes activated. And now the count is in full swing. So you could see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It wasn't a perfected 9, right? Because you want the 9 to sort of be the top dog, the top candle, right? So since we stalled out, and by the way, this is the 4-day chart. It's a horrible example. Let's see if we go to the daily chart, it could be a little different. So for example, the daily chart isn't helping at all. You can see there's a 9 right in the middle of the trend, right? So that wouldn't have helped at all. I like to use this on the weekly chart, and crypto, it's not really 100% good for crypto. I mean, it is, but it's really good for stock market. So the stock market is good, and that's where it's preferred. But just checking out the weekly chart right here, you could see all the 9s. So if it's, and there's no red 9s, by the way. So here's a green 9. We came up here, we had a pump, boom, you sold it. We came all the way down, boom, there's another green 9, right? You see the arrow, it's pointing up. That means you buy it, right? That means, hey, we're going up. So we had a 9, we pumped to the upside. What you want is another 9 to say, okay, get out. But that's not what's happening, right? Because we're in a downtrend, we're in consolidation. We're not in a trending market. We're in a consolidation bear market, right? So until we break above, yes, we are in a bear market until proven, right? It's got to prove itself. And the way it can prove itself is getting above these support areas or resistance areas, right? So basically, I mean, here's another 9, right? The 9 popped up. We had a pump to the upside. So it's just a unique, different thing. And you can even go it all the way down to, I mean, let's look at the 15-minute chart. I mean, you're going to see hundreds of them. They're just scattered all over the place. So you could see, like, going to the bottom here, this was 85 cents, right? You see this 9 here. It said, hey, you might want to buy. And by the way, you don't want to buy it if it just started going down. You want to buy it after a nice 5-wave move. So that's why I like to use Elliott waves and things like that to sort of help me, because you just don't blindly buy a 9 or blindly sell a 9. You have to, I use Elliott wave to help figure it out. So for example, real quick, and I'm going to get right back to theta and everything else. Just wanted to give you a little commercial break here in case anybody, wants to use this indicator. I've been using this indicator for years and I love it. So for example, if this is a 5-wave move, you want your 9, right? You want the 9 to be up here, right? So if you count, this is the bottom. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If the 9 sell is up here, then it looks like a good time to sell, right? If you're a trader, if you're trading, if you're not, if you're a hodler, it doesn't matter, right? Then you would probably go to the monthly chart, and then you would look at a monthly 9. If I'm a hodler and I get a monthly 9 sell, and if I get 2 of them in a row, you bet your last dollar I'm going to taking profits, because a monthly 9 is no joke. That is a serious business. So if your 9 is sitting up at the top of the 5th wave, that's a good time to sell. But if your 9 is all the way down here in the middle of the 3rd wave that didn't even break the 1st, then it's not lining up completely. So So another thing is you want divergence from the fourth to the fifth wave. So when you look at the RSI, right? I don't have it on my chart at the moment, but it's basically down here. You want to see the RSI diverting from the fourth and the fifth wave alongside a 9 cell. So that's I never shared that before. That's the first time I'm sharing my strategy. I don't normally share my strategy, but if you wanted to know, there you go. I use TD Sequential. So if you want to know about this, I suggest going to Google and type in how to trade TD Sequential. I just barely scratched the surface of it. I'm just giving you the basic outline. But if you really want to learn about it, I suggest it is an amazing indicator. The indicator is right here. It's called TD Sequential. I'm using the Fence Volume 3.0 without alerts. If you type that in your indicator, and you can get this indicator for free. I also use the bull market support band, the EMA ribbon, and I also use the Ikamochi, I can't even say it, the cloud, Ikamochi cloud. I use various different things depending on what's going on. But most of the things, you don't really need indicators. You just need to understand structure, patterns, and divergence, which would be your oscillator, which is an indicator, by the way. So yeah, that's basically sequential. I'll give you the biggest, if I go to Bitcoin just real fast, and I'm going to go to the weekly chart, I believe. And here is the weekly chart on Bitcoin, and you could see we are on a 9 cell. So that could be a bad thing, or it could be just a pullback, right? So you notice, just giving you an example, we'll be back to theta, and I'm going to tell you what's going on. These 3 red dots right here was printed by this 9. And notice we have not broken above those red dots. That's why I like the TD Sequential. The 9 is a very powerful thing. It like marked the top of the resistance, right? So that's why I like it, is because it prints these red dots. Now, normally when you have a 9, you have a trend change, or you have a 1 to 4 candle correction, right? So you need a 1 to 4 candle correction. In this case, we've already got 2 candles. This is our weekly candle. I'm bringing up the weekly chart on Bitcoin because today is Sunday. The chart is going to, the weekly candle is going to close today. So Bitcoin drives the market. I thought you guys would like to see this. We are on a 9. So, we're still in the 9. So if we can, but we have a green 1, we have a green 2 going above a green 1, but we need to break above this 9. We need to break above these red dots here, close above on a weekly scale, right? So if we can close above 38,000 and some change, and then it sets us up for another bullish continuation. But another thing I talked about too is this range. This range right here is resistance, support, breakout, backtest. So just real quick, if theta wants to come down and create its right shoulder, like I've been saying, then that means Bitcoin would be the driver. So if theta is going to do that, or even do the red path, then Bitcoin is going to have some type of ABC, get down here and back test this, because this was a big range. This range was from, let's say March, say May, all the way till October. So that was a long time in this range. So it's definitely significant, especially this resistance. You have resistance here, resistance here, you break the resistance, and then you come down and you back test. So you break out, you come down, and you back test this resistance to make it the new support. And when you do that, it confirms the breakout. And that's the whole point of a back test, is so you can confirm the breakout by coming down and making this your new support. So price will come down here, and then it starts to head on up, right? So that is definitely possible. And if this happens, then going back to theta, right? Going back to theta, we can see this left shoulder, the head, right? Maybe we get another pump to the upside. And this was the green pathway with a purple twist. Okay? So we come up here, we tag that $1.30, right? And then we pull down for that right shoulder. We pull down for that right shoulder. So price makes it up here, and then it comes down here, it pulls back, and then it goes. Definitely possible. Or we just get it over with and rip the Band-Aid off now. We pull back, and then we go. Or it's already done. We don't need to pull back anymore. But look at these candles right here. See how those are indecision candles, right? Though that's like you have. So if you look at candle number 3, that was a rejection candle. Candle number 4, that looks like a bullish hammer candle, but it's red and it's below the previous candle. Then you have candle number 5, which is sort of a doji candle. So that's telling us that there's a lot of resistance right there. Because if you look, you see all this resistance. Let me put the line first. You could see all this resistance. So right here it was support, and then it sliced through it. Now it's resistance. Came all the way down, had a 9 by the way. It went all the way up, right? It broke the resistance and it came down and it held it as support. Then it lifted up a little bit, then it broke down it again. And now we are right at the same point. So this area between 93 cents and 97 cents, so just say the 90-cent area. The entire 90-cent area is massive resistance so far. I mean, I believe for sure eventually it's going to break out. We just don't know when, right? So that's basically it there. The purple pathway, we pull down 50% right into here, and then we continue on. That's number 1. Number 2, we consolidate, which we're doing now. We break out. We hit this resistance up here, and then we create the right shoulder, and then we go. Maybe not that big, right? Maybe it's like this. We need some type of shoulder or some type of correction or something to say that we're ready to go. Because right now all we have is a straight line up and some consolidation. That's not really telling us much, right? We either need a pullback and then a continuation, we need a breakout and then a right shoulder, or we need a right shoulder. So basically that's it. So also, I'm going to show you something here. This is very bullish if this is the case. You can actually draw your inverse head and shoulders pattern like this. Here's our downward resistance line. I'm going to do it on the bodies. You could do it on the bodies or the wick. As long as it's not going through the bodies of the candle, you're fine. It can go through the wicks If you want to be conservative, you do it right on the point of the wick. If you want to be just going for the close, you do it right on the close. So we're going to do it through the close. You could see price was in this sort of downward resistance, is battling against this downward resistance line right here. Right? We came up to it. But look now, we broke above it. This is good. This is a good thing. This is very bullish, right? So typically you would want to see this, right? So you have your shoulder, you have your head, and then we were supposed to stop here and then develop another little shoulder and then go. But we broke out. That's a good thing. So now what? Well, according to this, we really want to see some kind of back test of this area, which we already got, by the way, worst case scenario, it can come down here and back test this downward resistance line before going higher, right? And that would be like a little miniature shoulder. So all things are pointing to a shoulder, right? The only way we don't get a shoulder is if we break that line. If we break that line, yes, we could still get a shoulder, but if we see this and consolidation and then go, that's how I'm looking at that. That would be the green path. But if we break it and then fall back below, we develop that right shoulder. So either way, we need some kind of pullback. The worst pullback would be back testing this right here. So remember this range. That's actually when I started making the theta videos, right? Was actually the bottom of the theta market was when I started coming out saying, hey, look, we're bullish here because of these reasons. And if you remember, this was a Wyckoff accumulation pattern. You can't see it because I'm on the weekly chart. But if I zoom in here, still not very helpful, but you see what I mean. You have your first test, your second, then you have your spring phase, you have your liquidity grab, and then you have your reaction. So very bullish. So let's see what happens. Let's see if we can continue to march on up. Like I said before, the goal is to get above this and this. So if we can get above that, $1.15 to $1.65, we're going to be good. And notice too, look how interesting that is. Look how interesting that is. Look at the red dots. Perfectly marked the top of this. The red dots here almost nailed the top, right? So all these red dots are not put there by me. They're put there by the indicator, right? So, I mean, you can see here on the 3-day chart, we had a 9 sell, you sold. You came all the way down. Look at that. That's a green 9. That means you buy. You came all the way up. Then you had another 9 sell. Then you sell, right? This was a 9 buy. It didn't really help you out because we weren't finished with a 3-wave move or a 5-wave move, right? So it doesn't always line up, but it's a very helpful tool to figure out where we're going. So basically, back to that story I had in 2018, I started dabbling in a lot of altcoins, and I didn't know any better not to mess with alts during a bear market, especially the beginning of a bear market. You sort of want to be positioned heavy in Bitcoin because that's the first driver, especially back then. Because back then, when Bitcoin was below 20,000, you had a lot of percentage moves in Bitcoin. Nowadays, you don't really get a lot of percentages in Bitcoin. So that's why I'm not really in a lot of Bitcoin during this bear market, right? But back then, I traded a lot of my Bitcoin for altcoins, various different altcoins. And as the price continued to go down and down, I thought, man, if I would have just stayed in Bitcoin, I would have been in such a better position. Now, I'm not saying that now, but back then it was a better thing. So I thought that's where I kind of turned into a Bitcoin maxi for a little while. Yes, I was a Bitcoin maxi for a little while. Because my thought was the altcoins, this is what I believed. I believed that the altcoins, because remember, when you get burned, right, you're emotional, you're pissed off. You want an excuse, right? You want to point the finger, you want to say why you got ripped off. And my understanding was this. The altcoins, most people call them S coins, right? The crap coins. But the altcoins were there not for any purpose but to get Bitcoin. And what do I mean by that? I mean that when I got burned, I believed that the altcoins were there just to steal your Bitcoin. And you say, well, why is that true? Because if you go back to 2018 and you go onto an exchange like Binance, I had Binance at the time. If you look at all the Bitcoin pairs, so you have Litecoin versus Bitcoin, Ethereum versus Bitcoin, all the coins back then versus Bitcoin, right? All the different coins, I think one of them was called Encash. There's a bunch of them. There are a bunch of different coins, right? And they were traded against Bitcoin, right? So if you wanted an altcoin, you either had to have Tether or Bitcoin. So I thought Tether is just a printing machine, right, to get Bitcoin. And the altcoins were designed for you to buy them so that you can sell them into Bitcoin, right? So basically, you want to sell your Bitcoin to get the altcoins. So, because I thought Bitcoin is the most valuable thing on planet Earth, and they developed these altcoins to trick us, right? So that we can sell our Bitcoin, so that we can buy these S coins that are going nowhere. That's what I thought. That's what I believed for a little while, right? And, to some extent that is still true, right? There's a lot of scams out there, tons of scams. And what would these scams rather have? Like, let's say a company, not even a company, just some random coin, XYZ coin, right, comes out. What would they rather have? The XYZ coin or Bitcoin? They would rather have Bitcoin. So how do they get the Bitcoin? Well, they got to develop an S coin. We'll call it XYZ coin. And they hype it up, they pump it out to Twitter, and they say, XYZ coin, it's the next big thing. It's the next big thing, right? It's going to be huge. Everybody buys it. Price goes up. They dump it. And they make you sell your Bitcoin to chase that false dump or the false pump, right? So that's how it works, right? They want the Bitcoin. They don't care about any altcoin. All they care about is getting Bitcoin. That's what altcoins were invented for, is to scam you out of your Bitcoin, right? But that's what I thought back then. I changed my tune a lot. There are legitimate projects out there like THETA. I don't believe THETA is there to scam you out of your Bitcoin, right? I don't think XRP is there to scam you out of your Bitcoin. These are serious contenders. But I do believe, like, say, if you go to CoinMarketCap and you look at coin number 600 and whatever, that coin, I mean, who are the developers? Who is moving this coin? Why are they doing it? Oftentimes, it's an exit scam. And the whole idea of the exit scam is to Either you trade your Bitcoin for that coin, or you trade your dollars for that coin. Either way, they're happy because now they have your Bitcoin or they have your dollars. If they take your dollars, they're just going to buy Bitcoin. So that's what I thought back then. Back in 2018 when I got burned, I just knew it's all about Bitcoin. It was all about Bitcoin. All these coins were just distractions, because I had to have like 10 or 15 or 20 different altcoins on my exchange, and I'm looking at them, I'm like, man, this sucks. If I would have just stayed in Bitcoin, and then I started learning more and, figuring things out. And this is just all a learning process for each of us. You watching this video right now, maybe you didn't know something. Maybe you knew everything. Maybe you can relate to my experience, right? But everything in this journey, every video you watch, every experience you have, every emotion you feel, bear market, bull market, every time you buy, every time you sell, you learn. You learn. And that's the whole point, is to learn, right? So I learned that Bitcoin was the one to be in because everything else were just random S coins that were there to get you out of your Bitcoin so that they can buy your Bitcoin while you have whatever coin that's going nowhere. Because look, and it's true. It was true because if you look at the top 10 back in 2017, it is drastically different than it is today. If you look at a screenshot from CoinMarketCap, so go to CoinMarketCap, go to the historical snapshot, and just type in, maybe February 2017. You will see the top 10. All the coins there are different, except for XRP and Ethereum. Those are the only two. So basically, that's Bitcoin, XRP, and Ethereum are the only three coins that have been in the top 10 since the beginning of time, right? And we know Ethereum, and that's one of the reasons I'm heavy in XRP. Ethereum is just too expensive to operate. I mean, you're better off building on another layer one. Like, I really like Casper. I know a lot of people like Cardano, ADA. You have Avalanche. You have different layer ones that, are a lot better than Ethereum. Ethereum has that dominance. And a lot of you might not know this, but the Ethereum scandal had a lot to do with the XRP case, right? If you know the Hinman speech, basically Bill Hinman of the SEC gave a speech and saying that basically everything is a security except for Bitcoin and Ethereum, So he basically gave a free pass to Ethereum when he knew dang well that was just his opinion. It wasn't official, right? So he basically, and go to find out, Bill Hinman was knee deep in the Ethereum founders and all their investments. So it was all quid pro quo. It was all corrupt, right? Meanwhile, they're suing XRP for being a security, but back behind the scenes, they're letting Ethereum and all their buddies get a free pass. And all we want is a level playing field. That's all we want, is a level playing field. We want all coins to be at a level advantage and let the market decide. The reason why Ethereum is such a big advantage is not because it's the best blockchain. I mean, it's so expensive, and look at the gas fees. Granted, they do have a lot of things built on them, but it's not the future. It's definitely not the future of crypto. I mean, it can be, but they need to fix it. That's why they went to volume Ethereum 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, right? That's why they're doing that, because they know they're not going to be sustained, right? So meanwhile, you have other projects that are already at that level, okay? So basically, as time went on, I learned, I wanted to be in Bitcoin. So basically, here's the price of Bitcoin. And basically, back then was 2017. This is when I got into crypto, mainly Bitcoin. We ran up here. I thought, wow, I'm a genius. We crashed down here. I thought, wow, what the heck just happened? What happened? I can't believe it. And then when we got into here, I started getting into the altcoins. I traded too much Bitcoin for altcoins. Then we had this big dump, and that big dump was not that bad for Bitcoin, but the altcoins, they got really wrecked during that. So I lost a lot, right? I was accumulating between, I would say early summer, midsummer, late spring area. And yeah, it sucked. So I basically, when we got it down here, I thought, okay, I got to smarten up. So I got rid of all my altcoins and I consolidated it into Bitcoin. And then we had this big run up, and I'm like, I'm such an idiot. I should have stayed in some altcoins, because that run up, a lot of altcoins from a percentage point of view performed better. But I stuck to my guns. I said, I got to stick to my guns. And then all through here, buying Bitcoin, right? And then it wasn't until we got into here, right here. I remember that day. That was when, right here, let me see if I can. So you see this pump right here? That's when the president of China, Xi Jinping, he came out and he said blockchain is revolutionary, right? He said it was a big deal. And I remember that day because we got that big pump to the upside. And then when we fell down, I started really considering other coins. So that's when I went down the XRP and Chainlink. I was a big Chainlink guy. I got into Theta a little later on. I want to say back over here. But yeah, I got into a lot of altcoins in this C19 area right in here. And I thought, okay, I'm going to give these altcoins a chance. And the more research I've done throughout this whole, that was almost 4 years ago, right? So we're in 2024 now. That was before 2020. So I've been accumulating altcoins for a good 4 years. And, looking at all these projects, I realize the S coins are not there to steal your Bitcoin like I thought. Yes, a lot of them are. But then I slowly started realizing the altcoins are actually going to be better than Bitcoin. So that's kind of funny. I started out with Bitcoin. Then I started liking the altcoins. Then I became a Bitcoin maxi. And now I'm like an altcoin maxi almost. So it kind of, and that's the years of learning, right? So it's just like all my experiences taught me. So now I'm sort of this moment, I'm way more allocated in altcoins than Bitcoin, simply because look where Bitcoin is at. If I zoom all the way out on this chart, look at that. Is there you have a rag, and the rag is wet, and you're wringing it out, and every last drop has basically came out. All the winners have already won, right? Not to mention, this could be a bad thing, because here is the apocalypse right here. This could be wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, wave 5. Now we need an A. We're in the middle of B, and then we're going to get a big C, right? Maybe not that deep. Maybe around that 5, maybe 5 to 8 to 10K, and then go, right? Because that's wave 1, wave 2. We've had 5 waves. Here's the problem. This is where altcoins could potentially decouple. We have a massive, this whole thing is one wave. This whole thing is a bull run. It's one giant uptrend for the last several years. We've just been in one uptrend. So now we need a counter trend to continue the bull trend, right? So that's where I'm worried. That's the only reason why I'm very worried with Bitcoin, is because look at it. Just look at this chart. It looks like it's toast. Yes, people think, okay, here's a cycle, here's the bear market, here's another cycle, here's a bear market, here's a cycle, here's a bear market, here's another cycle, here's a bear market, here's another. It doesn't work that way. You just don't keep having cycles after cycles after cycles after cycles. The reason why we've had all these cycles is because you just go to Elliott wave right here. Elliott, look on the left-hand side right here. Elliott impulse wave. This is what we have. That's a 1, that's a 2, that's a 3, that's a 4. And now we already finished 5, and now we're screwed. Right? That is basically the main reason why I don't think we're going to have a new all-time high, is because of this. So what I'm thinking here, right? And in the 5th wave, we have 5 waves, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're in the 5th of the 5th, and now we're in the bear market, right? So now, what do we have? Right? This is not just any. People are. The problem with a lot of people is they're comparing this cycle with previous cycles. You can't do that. How can you? You cannot compare previous cycles with this cycles. And then they say, oh, their response is, oh, this time is different. This time is different. But I'm saying, yeah, it really is different because we have 5 waves. It's done. So now what's happening? This is why I'm sort of fearful of the altcoins, is because what happens when this happens? So we have our first wave down, which is wave A. Now we're in the middle of B. I think B can get up to 40, 50K. And then we come down for C. And C is usually fast and vicious. So I would say right about there. So there you go. And that's what Elliott wave is, right? So, most people think, right, that we're comparing it to other cycles, right? They're saying, well, we could be doing this right here, or we could be doing this right here. Or what I would say is this is wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're in A. We just finished A. Now we're in B. We're about to finish B, and then we're going to go down for C. Here's the question. What happens to the altcoins if we go down into C? They will get crushed. Massively crushed. But there is a silver lining. If altcoins have been crushed this whole time already, right? So look how high Bitcoin is. Most other coins are way down here, right? If you take a Fibonacci scale from the top of this, the bottom of this, to the very top of this wave, that's a massive move. So why, Bitcoin can save you. So that's the problem, right? Back here, I thought, okay, we want to be mostly in Bitcoin, right? Because altcoins are going to get smashed during a bear market. If the bear market continues on A, B, C, right, and we go down into C, logic says, okay, altcoins are really going to be smashed. The problem is, well, Bitcoin's already so high, and the altcoins are already so low. So I'm kind of having mixed feelings about that. So we just have to wait and see how this B wave finished. Now, I'm hoping I'm wrong. Now, you can look at this like this, right? This can be 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're in the middle of the 5th, right? Which is 1, 2. This is 3. This is 4. And now we're in 5, right? So then it would be, that's how you could count it that way. Which would be, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and all of that is 5, right? So maybe not that high. I would say between 100 and 200,000 would be a good target for Bitcoin. And then once we get there, then the carnage A, B, C happens, right? Before more upside. So there you go. I don't want this video's already. Oh man, I'm sorry. This video is already over an hour. So basically, yeah, I covered a lot in this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm gonna wrap it up here, and just wanted to say thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. If you can, please leave a like, please leave a comment, and I will see you back on the next one. But before I go, I'm just gonna go a real quick recap with Theta, because this is a Theta video. Looking at the 5-day chart, we are incredibly bullish. Now just remember, right? This is our base. That's our concrete foundation. This is our bull flag. This is our flagpole, I mean. The flagpole is planted in the concrete foundation. Monster flag. And then we have this beautiful correction, right? You could see it. And that is our bull flag. And we are impulsing to the upside, correcting to the downside. The question is, how much further we got to go? I think we're finished. I think the bottom is in and we are ready to go. Now, if you zoom in a little further, we still have some work to do. I'm looking at this shoulder, this head, and a little more development of this right shoulder. Or it could be done. We could break out and we can come down and back test this $15, $20 area right in here. We break out, we back test, and then we go to the moon. And when I mean the moon, I mean the moon, right? Because this, look at this thing. Look how beautiful it looks. You have your foundation, you have your flagpole, you have your flag, and this is the setup. This is the whole setup of the chart. I mean, Theta for the last, since 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 6 years, going on 6 years of a setup. So basically this chart is 6 years old and it's creating a setup. And the setup is a bull flag. It's the biggest, it's a monster bull flag. I mean, look at this thing. It was down at 3 cents and it went all the way up to $16. 3 cents to $16. That is unbelievable. I would have sold my house. I would have sold everything I had on planet Earth if I knew that was going to happen, right? Wouldn't we all? I mean, come on, 3 cents to 16, that's $1 million status right there. But it's okay. We still have a chance. Why? Because this was a pullback, right? And what did it do? Just like that, just like this wave right here, right? I'm saying this is one wave right here. You take this wave and you cut it in half. And that's what happened. We pulled all the way back down to that 50% area. And then what happened? What's going to happen? Not financial advice, but this, my friends, is a bull flag, and we're going to break out. Now, if you take that measurement of the bull flag just for fun, and I put it right here. Sorry about that. The video cut out there, but going back, just to say it real quick, this is like the Bitcoin chart right here. So you have your base, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's when you get to the big boys, right? That's where I'm seeing $1,000 theta, and you say that's got to be impossible. But if you know, going back to the story with I had with Bitcoin, and to be a maxi, right, and to only be in Bitcoin, that was true. But the problem is now is, you know, the consensus is you want to be in Bitcoin during a bear market because it preserves your wealth. But the issue is going back to Bitcoin, right? If I zoom all the way out, it's already got 5 waves. So there you go. So here's 1, 2, and theta. Theta is right here. This is where theta is at. So imagine buying Bitcoin at $100, $166. That is where theta is at. So you can see the monster wave. We had a pullback, and then we went into the third wave. So this is what I'm expecting for theta. So why would I buy Bitcoin? Bitcoin's way up here. Theta is way down here. So going back to Theta, check it out. Watch this. We're still not there yet. We're still not there yet. So that's why I'm so bullish on Theta. Because we're at the beginning. Bitcoin's way up here already. It's done. It's done. It's already done. So we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right there. So let me pull a line up there. That's about a $2,000 Theta. And you say, that's impossible. Theta will never go to $2,000. It's only 98 cents. But remember, this thing was at 3 cents, right? So, and if you look at it, it's all symmetry. It's all symmetry. Look at this first wave. This wave right here. I know the chart's getting cluttered, but bear with me. This first wave right here, you pull it right there. And then you take this wave and you put it right there, right? It's the same length. And then you take the same wave, right? And then you put it right there. So, yeah, it can easily hit $2,000 to $3,000 in the fifth of the fifth wave, right? So all these are all symmetrical. So if I take this here and I put this one down here, right, and I just match it up right here, we can see something like this, right? So there you go. That's the chart. That is the macro bullish chart of $2,000 Theta. But that's not going to happen tomorrow, right? It's not going to happen tomorrow. Probably looking at maybe I would say my prediction would be 2028 to 2029. We're looking down the barrel of $1,000 plus Theta, right? $1,000 plus Theta. $2K. So, because the reason why I think that is, just look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin already made its move. All the people who made the money off Bitcoin made the money. It's done. It's already done. It's already completed. Think of it like a rag and it's wet and you're wringing it out. Bitcoin has every last drop wrung out of it. It's got 1, 2, it's got 5 waves. It's done. So why would I hold Bitcoin when I can hold Theta? Theta is right here. So if I take all this off the screen real quick. Theta, so this is Theta right here. Remember Theta, it had that concrete foundation. It had that first big wave to the upside. And now we're in this right here. This is what we're in. This is what we're in right here. And we're about to break out. So are you going to miss all that to jump into Bitcoin? Heck no. Heck no. And we still have all of this. So we still have 2 major cycles for Theta. What we saw in the beginning was just the first wave. Right? So going back to Theta, there we go. Going back to Theta, that's all we got. That's all we got. So what does that mean? Right? We're going to see this. Just like Bitcoin. And there you go. That's that. If that doesn't get you bullish, I mean, look where we're at. We're at the beginning of the beginning of the beginning of the beginning. So now I go back down to here, right? I go back down to here. And that is the same type of thing, just smaller. So there you go. You have your concrete foundation. You have your first wave to the upside. And now I want to see that pullback. Maybe it's already done. I don't know. Maybe it's done. We pull back. We develop that right shoulder and we go. Just like just like when you zoom all the way out. It's the same thing, just on a bigger scale. So there was your first wave, right? There was your pullback. And now we're going to go. Not financial advice at all. If I go down to the 2-hour chart, I mean, you can see a similar fractal lining up. Now, I think this could be A or W, 1, 2, 3, right? Let me just do some short-term analysis on this right here, and then we'll wrap it up. Sorry, I was going to wrap it up I don't know how long ago, but here we go. So we have 1, 2, 3, that's W. We have 1, 2, 3, that's X, and now we're probably going to get 1, 2, 3, and that will be Y, and then we go. And that's just one big giant consolidation. I mean, granted, the Y can go further down, but we just have to wait and see. We have to wait and see. Or this was a A, B, C right here. Let me take it all off first. This was, if you want to be short-term bullish, this was A, B, C, and now I would say this is a 1, 2, but the 2 broke the 1, so that can't be it, right? So I would look at this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like a diagonal, right? And now we break out a 3-wave move and then potentially come back down before going back up, right? So it'd be a 1, 2, 3. If we want to break and continue breaking out, we got to get above this area up here. So there you go, guys. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. Highly recommend, if you skip ahead in this video, definitely watch the whole thing. It makes more sense that way. And then, you know, also the ending of the video with Bitcoin, comparing the 5 waves of Bitcoin. That's why, guys, I'm nervous, right? Because when you look at Bitcoin, you go to the 10-day chart, we already have 5 waves. So that's the question. So this is a fundamental question. So this is theta right here, right? And now we're about to go. So we're right here. How does theta go if Bitcoin is just going to be in a bear market for the rest of the decade, right? Because we already had 5 waves. So that's why I think a big decoupling has to happen, or regulations has to happen, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C. So what happens during the C wave? War, another C19, economic banking collapse, or if we break out, which is the one I'm leaning towards, because I have to, right, for my bullish bias, right? This would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we're in the middle of the 5th wave. And this is where theta can really perform, and that is what we hope to happen. We want to see this thing pump and break this new all-time high. If we break new all-time high, you bet your bottom dollar that theta is going to go on a massive, massive bull run. I mean, just look at this thing, right? Just look at this thing. Boom. That's what we're looking at. So let's see what happens, guys. Take care.